All right, and welcome back, AP Human Geographers. Let's take a moment and walk through this particular example of an AP Human Geography multiple choice question using the POE process or the process of elimination. The question itself that we have here for this MCQ is as follows. A country has a high birth rate and a high death rate with a small natural increase. It's then asking, based off what we can see here, the stage of the demographic transition model, or the DTM, this describes. First off, before we even look at any of the answer choices, we really need to think about what the demographic transition model stages look like. We know that they're unstable and all over the place in the beginning, and then they start to stabilize as we get into stage 2, 3, and 4. And then we see a huge decline in stage 5. However, in this particular instance, in the DTM, stage 1 tends to be characterized by both high birth rates and high death rates. Because both are high, the population doesn't tend to grow very much. So, in turn, what we see is the natural increase is small. That already sounds pretty darn promising. So, now what we get to go do is we get to decide which ones that we need to eliminate. And the process that we need to follow inside the POE process is eliminating answers one by one. Now, option A is stage 5. It says it's stage 5, it's post-industrial. Now, what we need to be aware of is in stage 5, what we see most often is birth rates are actually very low, sometimes even lower than death rates. That doesn't match the high birth rates and the high death rates that we see in the stimulus and part of the question. So we can get rid of letter A. Moving on to letter B. It says stage 4, low growth. Stage 4 countries in low birth rates, which stage 4 countries have, and low death rates often are stable within populations. Again, not really a match to the high birth rate and high death rate that we see in the stimulus. So we're going to get rid of letter B. Now we move down to letter C. C says stage 1, low growth. Well, this tends to match what we identified earlier in the sense that we see high birth rates, high death rates, which both of those things together in the demographic transition model mean that they're canceling each other out. So we're not seeing a huge increase. And this has a little bit of population growth. With over time, you'll see select groups continue to reach maturity going through there in child rearing areas. Now, the big thing to focus on is with choice D, stage 3. Even though we see moderate growth, the issue that goes on in the stimulus is that based off of high birth rates, high death rates, and a small increase in natural increase over time, we see that stage 3 has death rates that have already dropped and birth rates that have begun declining. So population growth, yeah, it's still happening, which means it doesn't fit our stimulus question. So we can get rid of letter D. Now, when we look at stage 2, what's important here in choice E is that it says high growth. Well, stage 2 has high birth rates, which is what our stimulus says, but in stage 2, the death rates drop. They drop quickly because we see different types of improvements with things like sanitation, medicine, and food supply. Well, what that creates is rapid population growth, which is the exact opposite of what our stimulus is saying with a small increase. So we can eliminate letter E. So after eliminating all of those incorrect options, what we know is that the correct answer is letter C, stage 1 with low growth. Now, APers, what we want to make sure that we can focus on is that knowing a good AP test taking strategy is to focus on key words that can give you clues going forward, like phrases even. In this particular case, we have the phrase of high birth rate, high death rate, and small natural increase. Those three clues directly point to stage 1 in the demographic transition model. Hopefully this helps, and in the long run, we will see you when we get ready for the test. Good luck, APers.